Hello, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to join us today. I'm Charlie Imbergamo, Director of Strategic Programs for the Nonprofit Leadership Center. This is our sixth webinar in our free webinar series within the last 5 weeks as we continue our commitment to develop and connect leaders across our region. And in some cases, folks are joining us across the state and from out of state, and we're delighted by that. During these weeks, as we've pivoted to respond to our daily tasks, including our critical work, our own lives, we've been taking the time to survey practitioners in our sector, asking what programming might help support folks. Over 100 responses have centered around emotional intelligence, mindfulness, stress management, and topics of mental health. As we know, mental health challenges are often minimized or stigmatized already in our society. So again today, we're courageously responding by addressing some of those issues. It's a pleasure for us to welcome you to today's webinar, Managing Mental and Emotional Exhaustion. As we've done for each of these, to recognize and celebrate the organizations that you represent, I'd ask you to take a moment to locate the chat box and to type the name of your organization in the chat box now. As we see the names of the organizations pop up into the feed, I want to encourage you, as we've done before, to take a moment to recognize the potential for good in our community, the good that has been done, the good that we're doing now, and the good that we're committed to do into the future. Take a minute for that to sink in. We're very fortunate today to have DrStem Mahlatini with us. DrStem has been a presenter of in-person training at NLC. However, she's no stranger to technological delivery. She's delivered content via YouTube, telemedicine, podcasts, radio shows. So this is really no stretch for DrStem, and we're delighted to have her with us. She's a licensed psychotherapist, international best-selling author, teen parent expert, wellness coach, certified passion test facilitator, certified John Maxwell leadership trainer, and the list goes on. She's a motivational speaker, a life coach, president and founder of Global Counseling and Coaching Services, Inc., which focuses on speaking and training and providing workshops and seminars. Her passion is for individuals and to help folks, supporting them with programming to help deal with stress, mindfulness, finding true passion, marriage issues and family issues, and balancing life. She's been a great encouragement to our team in this work, and we're really delighted to have her. Moderating our call today is Karina Kletter, NLC's program associate, my teammate. Karina has been awesome in driving this work. She's passionate about our work and our community and really dialed in on our commitment to respond during this challenging time and looking ahead to what the future holds. She'll take us through some rules of the road for today's webinar together.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you to DrStem and everybody who's in the webinar with us today. Just a few rules of the road for today's call. To minimize background noise and distractions, all lines will be muted for the duration of the webinar. The session is being recorded and will be available on our website for future viewing. We warmly welcome your questions. Please type them in the chat box, and we'll take 10 to 15 minutes at the end of DrStem's presentation for her to answer as many as we're able to get to. If you haven't found the chat box yet, go to the settings at the bottom of your Zoom screen and click on chat. We're looking forward to a productive, engaging session, and thank you so much for your participation. DrStem?
Hello and welcome everyone that's on this webinar today. Thank you, Charlie, for that beautiful introduction, and thank you, Karina, for that introduction as well. My housekeeping today, for those of you that I've met in person, we usually have this housekeeping, coming up, but I just wanted to ask everyone, if you have a pen and paper, get a pen and paper ready and just put it on the side, because there will be some, things that I talk about that you might have questions on wanting me to expand in the end. I want to be able to make sure that you take them down and note them down. One thing that I also want to let you know is the way that I'm going to present this webinar to you. I have a PowerPoint because we have people that learn in different ways. Some people like visual and some people like the audio. So for those of you that like the visual, I have a PowerPoint that I'll be bringing down in a minute. For those of you that like to hear and see me, here's what I'm going to do. You look up at the top right hand corner and you will see me in there. There's a little box that will be there if this is your first time that you will see me. Mental health is not an easy thing for us to talk about. So I'm very excited and grateful for all of you that are here today, opening yourselves up to knowing and understanding more of what's going on with not only you, but your employees as well as the clients that you serve mentally, and how you can better address the mental health issues that are going on with them. So what I'll do is at the end, I will take off the PowerPoint so that again, I come to you in full vision. This is the part where I wish I had music so that we can get to the PowerPoint. Great. So we are talking about coping with mental exhaustion today. So if you have a minute, if you can just in your box, in the chat box, I just want to make sure that people can hear me and I'm coming out loud and clear. Just, type in yes so that I can see some yeses popping up and making sure that, oh, great. Thank you. I just want to make sure that, I'm clear. Thank you very much. So there's the new normal. And if you're like one of, my patients that say to me the other day, listen, Dr. Stam, if you tell me again one more time about this new normal, I'm so tired of hearing about it. I don't care about this new normal. And this is where we are. People are exhausted. People are tired of this new way of living and this new way of doing things. People are exhausted. And that's why we came up with the topic, how to manage mental exhaustion and emotional exhaustion. It is a new normal. And unfortunately, I wish I could come up with another term of explaining this or even talking about it, but we can't. We have to call it what it is. It is a new normal. And what does that mean? It means that this pandemic has scarred us all forever, for life, for years. It has changed the way that we live. It has changed the way that we do things, the way that we work, the way that we connect with each other. I don't know about you, but I'm a hugger. I love hugs. I'm from Zimbabwe, as most of you know, and from Zimbabwe, we are huggers. So I love to hug. And to think in a lifetime that I will always be scared now to hug someone, not because that they're contagious, but because I don't know if I'm the one that will be contagious, that I have to now take precaution to protect other people and to protect myself. I hope you take note of that, because mentally people are struggling with that, being in the same house with, family members and everything, and not being able to hug them as much as you would like to. This is disturbing for a lot of people. It's a new normal. The effect on us mentally and emotionally has been far greater than we can imagine. So how do we normalize the reality? What I want to do is to let all of you know, in fact, if I didn't thank you all enough, especially our nonprofit staff that are on here, because I know we have people from different professions that are joining us. I want to also thank you because you are essential workers. People depend on you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Many of you are like me, used to working with people where you see people in person and interact with them in person. And it's been difficult because some people are not, technology savvy. So what happens is fear is normal and common to all of us. Anxiety, we're all feeling anxious. Am I doing the right thing? Is this, coming out right? Are they understanding me? Are they receiving it well? And you know what? We feel empty, even as professionals, like maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I'm not doing it right, because we were not prepared for this. We were not trained for this, that this is the way that we would present it. If the world came to a halt, to a stop the way that it did, nobody prepared us for that. So don't feel like you are alone, feeling unqualified, struggling with change. If you're uncertain whether, you are qualified enough to do this or not, or even to lead your family or not. If you're angry, some people have a reaction where they're frustrated and angry about it because then they've lost their jobs, paychecks have been cut, we've been promised checks that haven't arrived. So people are getting to that point 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in, angry, brokenness. We have grief because people have lost families, resentment, because then, some people are like, why me and why now and what is going on? There are a lot of regrets of people that wish they had been prepared, but you couldn't have. You couldn't have been prepared. What is expected of you in the home? Guess what? The expectations, unfortunately, are still the same expectations where if you're a husband, you're expected to be a husband 100%. If you're a wife, you're expected to be a wife 100%. Girlfriend, boyfriend, partner 100%. Parent 100%. Caregiver 100%. I hope that with this training, what that will do for you as a person, you will be the first one to start lowering down your expectations and the standards of yourself and also of those around you, because of that new normal that we mentioned at the beginning. Nothing can be presented to you or done in the same way 100% of the time. There will be some changes and adjustments, and with that, we come down a notch percentages of what we can and cannot do. What is expected of you at work? Well, if you are in a management position, the employees that are under you are expecting clarity from you. They're expecting direction. They are trusting you to lead them and for you to lead by example. And that is frustrating. Because guess what? Even as a leader, you don't have the right directions. Even if you have meetings with the organization and everything, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to work exactly as, now people are trying to piece together everything. So it's up to you to be able to explain that and to be vulnerable and to understand that it's okay for you to let your employees know that I too am working through this and I don't have it all and I don't know exactly how we're going to do this year, but we're going to adjust and take brand new steps together. So the first thing is to fasten your own seatbelt. I started thinking about this way before COVID-19. I went to Zimbabwe with my mother for Christmas last year in 2019. And for some reason, the minute that I arrived at the Boston Logan airport, which I love flying into Boston Logan when you're coming out of the country, you always get those officers that says, welcome home. And it's a sound that I wait for. But for some reason, when they said welcome home, I say to myself, I think it's time for me to fasten my own seatbelt. And what that means is I'm a caregiver by nature. I'm a therapist. I'm a firstborn in my family. So I'm a nurturer as a woman as well. But I say this to myself and just, out of nowhere, I say, I think I need to work on also fastening my own seatbelt so that I can be well equipped to continue serving at the highest level that I want to serve. Because when you're on the plane, they kept telling us, whenever I was on the plane, fasten your own seatbelt. I share this with you, and ask of you to also take this term to fasten your own seatbelt. What that means is, nurture yourself and allow yourself for this change so that you can also get your footing right. The rug was pulled from all of us. So that means every one of us is struggling with a new normal and a new way of doing things. The big question, how? How do I, fasten my own seatbelt when everything around me is falling apart? How do I fasten my own seatbelt when I have lost people, when I have tested positive myself, when I have family members that are testing positive, when I'm looking on TV and their families all around that are losing lives, that are losing themselves, that are losing jobs? How do I fasten my own seatbelt? Great question. The first step that you have taken today of understanding mental and emotional exhaustion, of understanding the effects of what could be happening to you mentally, is the first step to answer your how do you do this. And why do we need to do it? We need to do it to prevent burnout and also emotional breakdown. So my investment is I want to be able to bring hope to all of you that are listening right now and those that will be listening later on. I want to be able to give you information that will guide you on how to cope with this new normal. I want to also be a voice that can help you make the right choices, make you take that stance that says, you know what, I have done all I can, and right now I just need to stand and figure out a new way of doing things that I'm used to be doing. So I'm wondering, what's in this for you? This training, what's in it for you? That piece of paper that I asked you to write on, if you can just jot on there, what's in it for me? When we're talking about mental and emotional exhaustion, what's in it for you? I also want you to write in there one or two things that, you know what, if she can tell me how to solve this, I think I will have gained something out of this hour that I'm hanging out with her. You can write that down. What that does is it helps you become focused and centralized. It also helps you to be mindful when we start going through the next PowerPoint. What is the causes, the main causes of mental exhaustion? Well, COVID-19. That's the number one on my list. I don't know if it will be number 2 or 10 on anybody else's list. The anxiety that it has brought me, the sadness that it has brought me, the fear, the uncertainty that it has brought me, that causes emotional exhaustion. The lack of control, or the workspaces. I had to close my office. Like within the first week of all this announcement, at first, I was selfish. I wanted to continue meeting with the people because I have elderly that I serve in my office. I didn't want them to panic. My elderly were saying, well, I don't like this social media. I'm never going to have Facebook. I don't like all this. So I knew that I have 70 and 80-year-olds that were driving themselves or had, nursing homes and stuff, driving them to my office. And they were so happy to come out and come, outside of the nursing home or their homes. So I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to change. I was unclear as to how I was going to do it because I knew that for them it was going to be difficult. That was my own fear. It was unclear of the expectations and also for the employees and everyone else. The strains of your relationships with your patients, with your clients, as well as with yourselves have been a big major cause of, what we're going through with mental exhaustion. For employees that I'm talking to right now, their biggest stress has been the lack of supervisory and management support, limited or zero computer skills. They don't have enough technology skills, for virtual services. And then the pre-existing job stresses. If you have an employee or a person that was already stressed out at work and the work was too much, guess what? It's now exacerbated. They are now feeling it 20 times more because now they're in an environment where they don't have the support, but more and more they are unsure of whether they will have this job tomorrow when they wake up, because already they had stresses and questions when they were, at job. Oh my God, their home environment. There are many people that have limited space in the homes. So to put your computer on one corner and then your kids are on another corner trying to do work online, and then your husband or partner or fiance or wife is in the other room, that's a big stressor for a lot of people. The other causes that are causing mental exhaustion is the testing itself. Well, lack of testing is one, that we don't have enough testing. And then when you test positive, or, when you're waiting for those tests, that's a big stressor in itself. The changes in workplace and your duties is a stressor as well. Being laid off, some people are being furloughed. I knew the word furlough, but I haven't heard it as much as I've heard of that furlough. I've been furloughed. So for some reason, trust me, you could have a PhD and all of a sudden you have no idea what furlough means. For some reason, I kept saying, okay, what does that mean when you say you've been furloughed? Oh, I'm not getting paid and I don't have work. And I thought maybe they're just furloughing and just parking you for a minute and just partially paying you. Nope. It means I've been laid off. No pay. So that has been a big stressor, because not having that clarity is a big change for people. Having a spouse at home, being single and not having anyone at home with you, the noise that's surrounding you when you have your family at home, the stress that you already had at home with your bills, not having enough money, maybe you have medical or mental health problems that you've been dealing with and struggling with, all those will cause exacerbated stress. Or if you are caregiving and you do have a parent or someone that you're caregiving, that will also complicate things for you. I took my time listing all of those because I wanted, for one, to normalize what you're feeling, to say, yes, you are going to feel all of the symptoms that I mentioned because of those situations and more. So what is mental, exhaustion and the medical causes? That if you don't take care of some of those symptoms or allow yourself to take measures into preventing mental exhaustion or taking strides into preventing and protecting mental exhaustion as well as emotional exhaustion, you could be subjected to medical causes like depression, heart disease, chronic illness, autoimmune diseases, substance abuse. Many people that had a glass of wine, some people had not been drinking for years or smoking for years, and all of a sudden they're finding themselves picking up smoking and drinking again. That could be a problem in the long run. Medical and mental health existing and pre-existing conditions, again, could be exacerbated or increased at this time. The emotional signs will be for the depression. You'll find yourself having mood swings, feeling sad, feeling hopeless and helpless. Don't be surprised if you just, come out with bursting tears sometimes and just crying. There's a lot that we are going to be crying about. We have lost a lot. There's a lot that we don't know if we're going to regain back or not. So there's a normal crying of this loss, but then, it becomes depression if it prolongs and it's becomes more often, then you know that what, maybe I'm getting depressed and this is something that I need to talk to somebody about. The anxiety has been normal because everybody was scared. We all were nervous. We all were feeling like, oh my God, what am I going to do? We were overwhelmed. But now that we're into week 4, if you're finding yourself with continuously being overwhelmed, stressed, and you can't find a minute to just relax, then yes, it is a problem. The lack of interest, where you don't care, you don't want to wake up, you don't care about working, you don't care about even trying to figure out other means and ways of making, things work out for you in your household or even in your life, then that becomes a problem if it's continuous, or you're continuously exhausted, or now little things just trigger you and you're easily irritated and angered, and you can't seem to get it together. if you're feeling, dreadful of maybe even the unimagined that hasn't happened, then that becomes a problem if you're continuously creating things that scare you even more. Difficulty focusing and concentrating, that's an emotional sign, that you could be concerned about as well. I also listed for you the headaches. A lot of people are saying, all of a sudden I have headaches that are, even if I take the Tylenol that they told me to take, it's not going away. Or you say, I have an upset stomach, or, I have my pain in my stomach. I'm getting the runs and it's not stopping, or it's bloating, or I don't have appetite, or now I'm eating too much and I'm not understanding what's really going on. Please do not sit back with those emotions or bodily aches or any of those physical signs that I'm describing, because at this time, we don't know what the difference is between anything that we would feel normal and then, something that could be COVID-19. So I encourage you to call your medical doctors to take a look and talk to you. The other thing, physical sign for mental exhaustion, is insomnia, throwing up, or just feeling like throwing up. Like I said, the problem with the low immune system is that if you start coughing and sneezing and, the doctors say to you, well, you know what, even after you test positive, take, this prescription and make sure you get isolated and stay in a room. The problem is, if you continue to worry and you're scared, your immune system will become low. That means now, the symptoms will increase because you continuously were feeling scared, and you continuously felt like, oh my God, am I going to come out of this? And what if what I was seeing on TV is right? And, that now becomes your worst enemy, your own thinking and your own emotions. The behavioral signs, again, some of this might be repetitious, but if you have students, what you see, or children, or if you yourself are a student, right, you will find yourself not performing well at school or at work. The problem now is this adjustment, the adjustment of doing everything on the computer. Like I said, some people are visual, and it doesn't work well for them. But then for some people that are audio and they can work with this digital, there's no difference in this mode of learning. But if you're a manager, please take this into consideration, because if you have employees that we're not working on computers, or we're struggling with working on computers, you might find that their performance might even, drop down and become poor, or even yourself, your own performance might become lower. So what does that do? Of course, you're going to get irritated with yourself. You're going to be irritated with everyone around you. But, take note. And the good thing about doing this is, once you attend this, seminar, the thing is, when you have the knowledge, right, you will remember this. I have a lot of people that when I talk to, they say, I hear your voice. And every time I want to get irritated, or every time that I want to go off, I just hear your voice saying, calm down, because maybe it's just a little bit too much. So take a step back and look at it. Am I doing too much? Do I have too much on my plate? What else is going on with me, with those mental symptoms that we talk about, with those medical symptoms that we talk about? Take a step back and take responsibility for yourself first, so that you can take care of yourself again. I go back into that, fasten your seat belt first. So how do you help yourself, and how do you help others? Well, I have 2 words that I want you to remember from this. You're either going to respond or to react. 2 words, respond or react. So guess what? At first, we all reacted. Mental health, you could be medical, you could be a parent, you had it all together before COVID-19 came. And when it came, we all reacted. Nobody was immune to this. So what does, the reaction, or a person that reacts, what do? They focus on problems and not on solutions. They focus on the crisis, not on recovery. They focus on the obstacle that's happening, but not on the opportunities that this obstacle can be bringing. The anxiety is high when you're reacting. You get irritable. You get, into disagreements, because most of the time it's my way or the highway. It's the way that I used to do things, or the way that I know to do things, or nothing at all. And that's a reaction. Fear is on the rise, because you know what? The reality of reaction is that there's a lot of fear and anxiety and anger that comes with it. The shift that I want to encourage all of you to do today: responding. As you can see on my image right there, you can see how that face is almost like closed eyes, relaxed. So let's talk about responding. When you respond, you have the tendency, in fact, I should have put it there first. You have the tendency to breathe. That's the first thing that you do. Something happens when you respond. You have the tendency to breathe. So what I'm going to do right now, before I go into the next point, let me ask you if we can do a quick breathing, which is something that just takes you off again, because now you've been on the roll, you've been listening all this, and you're like, what? She wants us to breathe. Yes, I want you to breathe. Okay? So the way that I do it is we're going to breathe through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. This is exactly what I want you to practice when you are going through all this and you get overwhelmed and you tell yourself, okay, I need to breathe. When you tell yourself that, you're going to breathe in this way. Whenever I do this, if I wasn't, doing the training, I'm comfortable closing my eyes. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, it works much better, because the screen that you're facing right now, that, the raises and everything will be closed down. It'll be a little darker. So I'm just going to do 3 just to help you, practice this exercise. You're going to breathe in through the mouth and then breathe out through the nose, and then breathe out through your mouth. Okay. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. One more. Breathe in. And breathe out. Thank you for that. I wanted to shift the gear so that you are in a relaxed mode and you can understand how powerful breathing is during this whole thing that we're going through. Responding helps you to focus on the solutions and not the problems. Responding helps you to focus on recovery and not the crisis alone. It helps you to focus on the opportunity or opportunities, not just the obstacles of what you're facing or what we're all facing right now. You are much more calmer when you remind yourself that, okay, I need to respond. Because you will be able to sense it, you'll be able to feel it. Trust me, you are your best judge. You can ask yourself, am I responding or am I, reacting? And you will know, because when you're responding, you are calmer. You take time to breathe. You self-reflect. You are more patient and you're much more relaxed. The big question that you're always going to ask yourself as of today is, am I reacting or am I responding? Again, the answer will lie in how you think and how you feel. The truth is, the more mentally exhausted that we are, the less capable that we are of keeping up with our thinking, feeling, and our actions. That means when we are more stressed out, when things are not in place, when things are not the way that we are used to, we actually don't think straight, we don't feel, or even, act right. We act differently because things are not the same. So there's my couch. I'm going to miss this for this time because I'm used to people coming in and saying, can I lay on your couch? I'm like, sure, you can lay on my couch. And they go, is that weird? I'm like, if you think it's weird, then it's weird. Again, when you manage your thoughts, you manage your feelings. Another big question, what am I thinking? Is a question that you can ask yourself. So how do you change, your thinking and what you say? Well, here's the thing. During this time, I'm telling you, people are going off their handle because now we're in the 4th week and people are struggling. So resist reacting right away or, talking back or even answering right away so that you can avoid saying something you'll regret. If you are one that prays, I'm asking people pray first. Because when you say, oh, let me pray about it, then you're relaxed. Talk openly about your feelings or your situation. If you're one person that is not used to saying what you think or what you feel, you're going to struggle because we are in enclosed quarters. We're also away from those people that could help us or give us the answers. So please feel free and be open to talking about your situation so people can give you answers. Look at the big picture. Am I telling the truth? Am I looking at the truth? Or are these my assumptions that of what I'm feeling or what I'm assuming that they will fire me or they're not understanding me or they hated me anyway before I was, before COVID-19? All those thoughts, put them in check so that your action will not be a reaction, that it will be a response. Assess if you're reacting, to your own emotions and triggers. And then find ways to have healthy thoughts. That means laugh often, read, play music, distract your thoughts. It's okay. Because some people have said, do you think it's okay for me to play music and to laugh when other people are struggling? And, I know that, even I have lost people and the answer is yes, 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 yes. Because again, it's part of your way of fastening your own seatbelt to get yourself emotionally stable. Because when you do that, you become more effective as a leader, as a parent, as a partner, as a friend, as a colleague. So please find ways to take care of your health. Accept the unexpected, expected, circumstance that we have now. This is it. This is the new normal. This is how we're going to do things. The more and the sooner that we embrace and figure out ways to do things in a new way, the better that we're going to be responding. So as much as you can, focus on what you can change. Draw on how you've done it in the past, because trust me, you have gone through problems. They were not as extensive or maybe as deep-seated as what we're going through now. But in your life, you have gone through certain stages in your life, whether it was at work, in your person, where you have had to dig deep for ways to come out of a situation. I urge you to go back and dig deep and look at what you have done before, because some of those things that you have done or how you have managed to come out of most difficult situations will help you come out of COVID-19 in a healthier way. Stay connected. Okay. The other thing is, with this social media, what's happening now is a lot of people right now are also struggling because they cannot have their social gatherings with families, but stay connected. With social media, people are having family gatherings. They're having family dinners. They're, those friends that you haven't talked to in a long time. Find those people who can help keep your spirits up. Take classes right now and learn how to connect with new people. So many of you probably have never met before, and we are meeting today on this webinar. And this is another way of you knowing, and I'm glad to meet all of you, but please don't shy away from, Zooming with family members, FaceTiming. There's another app called WhatsApp that you can meet, talk to people for free from around the world. This is the time that you can reconnect, but most of all, replenish yourself. So join in on an interesting group that is talking about things that can enhance you, but not talking about just COVID. to join groups that are enhancing to you. I got a link yesterday from somebody that sent me a link for Harvard University free courses. I've never been to Harvard. I don't know about you, but I thought, oh, wow, for me to be taught by somebody at Harvard and get me a few certificates and get, to learn new skills, how awesome would that be? So, yep, I joined. I have a class that I'll be taking at Harvard, and I know that, once this thing is over, I will have a few certificates, but mostly I will be more equipped, better equipped to deal with this new normal because I'm learning new skills. So challenge yourself to do the same thing with yourself. Take care of your body, exercise, dance, walk, but most of all, journaling. There are a lot of people probably that are journaling that are online. If you haven't tried it, or if you had dropped it and said, oh, I'm doing well, this is the time to pick up journaling again, because journaling in general, right? It's a way that helps to release stressful thoughts and feelings, which also causes stress, as you know. So I encourage people to write, not on the tablet, but to literally take pen and paper and, feel yourself writing. Taking care of your mind is the next thing that I want to encourage you as we talk about managing your mental and emotional exhaustion. Mindfulness. This is the quietening of the mind. Do meditation, deep breathing exercises. As I've said, for those of you that pray, this is a time that could be helpful. If you have other spiritual practices that you do, that will help take care of your mind. Yoga, massage, music, audiobooks. Many, many more practices that will help you keep a positive and calm mind. We actually, the Nonprofit Leadership Center, are also preparing some mindful courses that will be presenting to you right in this near future, because that was on our agenda for 2020. So I think it's actually exciting that we're going to be bringing in full courses on mindfulness, because that's one of the things that I love teaching and also doing, because that's helpful to me. Make time for personal development. As I said, there are many, many low-cost personal development classes that are being offered online. If you have employee assistance, which many people have EAP, what I want to encourage you is to call in your EAP programs, employee assistance programs. This is the time that it works for you, because you can talk to a professional, mental health professional like myself, that can now talk about the stress itself on how to manage it. But now you can even talk about your professional and personal development, whilst you're at home. You have more time to do it. So take advantage of that. Supporting your employees, they need you. So rule out all these things that we talk about first. So when you hear them, you know them in person. So now when you're talking to them, if you're sensing that there must be a little anxiety going on or frustration, be aware of that. And then, communicate with them without judgment or being overly irritable. Be supportive and clear. Focus on the intended outcomes that you want from them, so that you help them with the problem that, they're having. Be clear and avoid misinterpretation. I urge you to ask and say, hey, what do you understand? Did you understand what I say? If you're in a management, so that they can reiterate back to you what they just heard, just in case there's too much clutter in their mind or even behind them or around them in the house. But, check in and give feedback often. If you're a manager, the EAP has also something called the management referral services, where you as a manager can call in the EAP and refer your employee to talk to someone. It's not, a reprimand. It's actually something you can, tell the employee that I know that maybe you taking that initial phone call was going to be challenging. So I made the call, and make it mandatory that you get to be seen and talk to someone. So what that does is, once we get a management, we get to talk to the employee, and all the manager knows is that yes, they showed up, or no, they didn't show up, but that puts the fire under the employee to deal with personal problems that they might be dealing with and they're not ready to face. Okay, staying positive. This is one thing that I do well. I have this quote that has really helped me. that says you never miss the water until the well is dry. We didn't miss hugs. We didn't miss the jobs and everything that we took for granted until everything came to a halt. That's why this quote is very important to me, that now we're appreciating a lot of things that we probably took for granted. We need to keep the hope and the peace alive. It does not mean, when we say peace, that we are forgetting everything that is around us. It doesn't mean that there's no noise, there's no trouble that is going on. It just means that in the midst of all these things that are happening today, we are going to choose to maintain and take care of our mental and emotional exhaustion by being still and keeping track of what it is that we're thinking and feeling. So sending you socially distant hugs. And now, before I open up for the questions, I have a book that I wrote, 7 Steps to Coping with a New Normal. Hey, I'm saying it again, the new normal, right? So it's a free copy for you. You can get it from my website, DrStemEmpowerment.com. And I'll see if we can also probably send it to you via email when we send you the links. We probably can, we'll send you this email as well. It has tips, some of them that I have covered, but most that I probably haven't, covered, that you can now take with you and keep with you to make sure that you do make your mental and emotional exhaustion number 1. And now I'm going to be open for questions, and I'll go ahead and take this PowerPoint away. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Stem, we have a question.
Okay.
And you recommend journal prompts or exercises that might support those who use that as a strategy?
Journal prompts.
Yes.
So with general prompting, right, that means any direction of anything that, what I would suggest, gratitude is always a general prompt that probably works best for everybody in every situation, to write the 10 things that you are grateful for, because what it does, it helps you, keep, note or keep centered in the things that are working out for you. And also you can write, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What can I do about it? Because remember now, you can only control the things that you have control over. And there will be certain things that if the answer is there's nothing that I can do, I have done all I can, then you will be able to move on to the next thing, and your thoughts and feelings will be more at ease because now there's nothing that you can do. I usually use that serenity prayer, if some of you are familiar with it, that says, there are things that, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I can change and wisdom to know the difference. That's almost like it. You write the things that you can control and those that you can't, but make sure the first thing will be the 10 things that you're grateful for each day.
Great, thank you. There's another question. How can I help my kids at home to manage the stress of studying from home and the anxiety that they may be feeling?
That's a great question. A lot of parents, I think, the most frustrating thing is you are the head of the household and your kids or look up to you, and all of a sudden now you don't know what to do. So the number one thing that I would let you know is deal with your anxiety first. Anxiety is very contagious. When you are afraid, guess what? Your children and everyone around you can sense it, they can feel it. But the worst thing is it can trigger their own anxiety as well. So that's when now you see communication being strained and now having difficulty understanding each other, or even understanding whether people understand you, because everybody is on the NC. So the first thing as a parent or an adult is to manage your own anxiety. Again, doing some of the things that we talked about in this training today, talking to other people that will help calm you down, journaling, exercising, watching. Please, I probably didn't mention this here. The news, I have a sister that, even before this year, she was, she works in her bedroom. So the TV, she's got a big screen TV in there. So we did a FaceTime before this, and all that was scrolling was CNN news with, body bags and everything in there. And yet she's sitting on her computer there. I'm like, oh, can you at least turn that TV off for now whilst you're working? So I want to encourage you to probably mind the time that you watch TV now, maybe in the morning, and then whilst your kids and everyone is working, to probably just shut that down and have a little music, relaxing music in the background, rather than, even if you're not looking at it, because she claims, I'm not looking at it. I'm like, well, but the subconscious mind knows that something is happening, and you might look without you knowing that you're looking. So that's another thing that you want to make sure that you do, as well as, for the parents. You also want to acknowledge and validate what your children are feeling. They're very frustrated. The teachers are not being able to support them as much as they were when they were in person. So that's frustrating for the kids that are around you. And each kid is taking it personally. So please validate to them those feelings that they're feeling, but also to help them understand that it's not you and you're not being ignored, but this is a time that, things are going to take time and transitioning, in for them. If they were an A student and you're expecting them to continue to get 90s and 100, please calm down a notch and understand that there has to be a leeway that maybe you might see a 60 or a 70 whilst they're adjusting, and make it okay for them to say it's okay, because I know that you're going through this adjustment, rather than continue to expect them to bring home an A or to do well with an A.
Thank you. Stephanie is asking a question. How do you take time for mindfulness during work?
See, thank you, Stephanie, for that question. The word mindfulness itself means even, managing the fact and prioritizing that time, to quieten your mind. So I know it's hard for you to literally shut down the computer and shut down the phones if you're, let's say, in a call center environment where the calls are coming in and you're talking to people on, FaceTime or anything. There are times when I am, because this is the thing that I do. Did you see that in the middle of this presentation, I took time, it wasn't on my PowerPoint, but I took time and I had everybody meditate, and I took a break with those 3 meditations. So even when you're talking to people, you literally can take a minute to just take a step back and breathe whilst they're there on the phone, or ask them a question that they can answer you, and whilst they're answering you, you're taking a break. If you have a job that asks you to do paperwork or you have to log in something, that's also a time that you can remind yourself to take a breather as you are typing in, as you are doing that. But make it a point, if you're supposed to be logging in at 5:30, that when you log in at 5:30 or 6, because some people are going in a little bit longer, at 6, the first thing that you do is to take yourself in a quiet place, in a bathroom or in a little corner, because the bathroom is the safest place right now if you have other people in the house and you don't have the big mansions where you have room. Get yourself in the bathroom and just take that minute to do the breathing exercises, the mindfulness meditations that you can do in that quiet area. But make it a point that you give yourself and allow yourself to take that time for mindfulness.
Thank you. DrStem Susan has a question. With everything so uncertain, how can you have something to look forward to?
Great question, Susan. And I think that's the reason why, again, I'm so grateful for the Nonprofit Leadership Center for, providing us with a platform like this, where, on a day like this here, we can talk about hope, and we can talk about, the sun rising again tomorrow. Because what happens in life is, unfortunately, this is an unfortunate, situation and time that we are in. But as you know, just like the darkness, the light always comes. Morning always comes. We went through, I wasn't born, and many of you were not born, World War II and World War One, and they had other pandemics that happened in the 30s and 40s. And guess what? We are here today in the 20th century. It's another day. So thoughts like that, where you know that these too shall pass and tomorrow will come. Even though it's a new normal, it becomes normal once we continue to do things in a different way that accommodates the times that we are in. I'm reminded of the time that, we had the record player, and we had the records and people were playing the record, for music, the record player. People fought the CDs. They didn't want CD players. They wanted the cassettes where, you could still roll and play the cassettes. And that's what we wanted. And everybody was like, my old lady that says, I don't like social media. And by the way, to update you, guess what? She called me the other day and says, I don't want to talk to you on the phone anymore. And I was scared and I thought, why? She says, because I downloaded Zoom and I'm going to be seeing you. And I mean, I nearly was in tears because now I can see her on Zoom. So just like she did, I think you can also do the same thing day by day. It's not something that comes easy to fight for that new normal, to fight for you to, and have new ways of doing things in a new way, just like we did, as I said, with the transition with the CDs. Now nobody wants to see the record. Nobody wants to see the cassette player, because then we have the CD players, which are also going out because now everything is going to be online. So I say to you, one day at a time, keep the hope alive, because yes, tomorrow will come, and we're going to be talking about this as history to all our children, grandchildren, and say, I was there and I never thought that I would come out.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stem. It does not appear that we have any further questions. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, each of you, for being with us. And when you think of the heroes in our community and all those first responders and medical staff and employees and grocery store workers, please also think of yourself on that list as community heroes, continuing to work with your clients in service of our community. We're very grateful for the work that you are doing. So that will wrap it up for today. Dr. Stem, any final words of wisdom from you before we sign off?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And for all of you, if you didn't receive, I had an assessment that we send out. It's called Coping with Mental Exhaustion. I just have a checklist of the things that you can check there to see, am I mentally or emotionally exhausted? That's going to be very helpful. And as I always say, I pray and, hope that all of you continue to stay safe, but be encouraged.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Dr. Stem.